to day 14 of the Crochet Society Advent Crochet Along. Today we are going to be continuing to build our work. We're going to be using the colour which we didn't fasten off yesterday, so we'll continue to use colour 13 and we will also be using colour 14. We are going to continue with the 3mm crochet hook, or whichever hook you used you switched to yesterday. So let's get started. Okay, so for row 1 we are going to remove the stitch marker, and then we are going to pull in the new colour, so colour 14. So I'm going to pull down, insert my hook and then pull that through. So we've pulled in the new colour here. We're then going to do a double crochet into that very first stitch, but the other colour is still here. We haven't fastened that off. We're then going to do 1 treble 3 down. So what we're looking for here is this chain space. We have 1, another chain space 2, and then we have a top of the stitch here, and this is where we're going to work into. So we're going to do a treble crochet into that stitch. Remember, I'm working in UK terms. In the US this is known as a double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, go into that stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So that is treble 3 down. Okay, so after you've done this, we're then going to start a pattern repeat, and that pattern repeat is chain 2, 1, 2, miss a stitch. So don't forget we're going to miss that stitch that we've worked that treble over. So miss the next stitch and then do 3 double crochets. 1, which is single in the US, 2 and 3, chain 2, 1, 2, miss a stitch and then treble 3 down. So we're looking for that chain 2 space here, here, and then it's that treble in that stitch. And that is the end of the pattern repeat. So I'll just show you that once more. We'll chain 2, 1, 2, miss a stitch, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1, 2, and then treble into the 3rd row down. So it's just underneath these chain 2 spaces. So you want to go ahead and work that all the way across until you have 1 stitch remaining. So pause the video, work those stitches, and then meet me back once you're ready. Okay, so once you've worked your way all the way across, we're then going to do a double crochet into that last stitch, and then we're going to turn our work and we're ready for row 2. So for row 2 we're going to chain 1. This does not count as a stitch here and throughout. We're then going to do 2 double crochets, so into that very first stitch, 1, and then into the next stitch, 2, and then we have a pattern repeat. So we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, miss the chain space, and then 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, miss a space, and then double crochet. And you're going to repeat that all the way across. So I'll show you again, chain 2, miss a space, and then 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, miss a space, and double crochet. So you will repeat that all the way to the last stitch. Pause the video and then meet me back once you're ready. Okay, so once you've worked your way to that final stitch, you're going to double crochet into that last stitch and then turn the work, and we're ready to move on to row 3. So for the row 3, we're going to drop the colour 14. So I'm just going to pull up a loop and drop that colour. We are not going to fasten that off. We're instead going to insert our hook into that first stitch and then pull up colour 13. So you're just pulling up the working yarn from before. You can put a stitch marker into that loop if you feel like it's going to come undone, but if you just pull it, it should be absolutely fine. So now we're ready for row 3, and we're going to start off by chaining 1, and then we're going to do 2 double crochets. So we'll start off into that first stitch, the base of that chain 1, because that doesn't count as a stitch. We'll do 1 and 2. So now we have another pattern repeat, and we're going to start off with 1 treble 3 down. So we're going to skip these chain 2 spaces and then find that stitch underneath, and then do a treble crochet into that stitch like so. We're going to chain 2, miss a stitch, and then we're going to do 1 double crochet, chain 2, miss a stitch, and then 1 treble 3 down. And then double crochet. That is the end of the pattern repeat. So you're going to start that again, where you start with the 1 treble 3 down, chain 2, miss a stitch, 1 double crochet, chain 2, miss a stitch, 1 treble 3 down, and then double crochet. So rewind the video to where I said it starts, which is just here if you need to, but you're going to work your way all the way across until you have 1 stitch remaining. So pause the video and then meet me back once you're ready. Okay, so after you've worked your way to the end, we're going to double crochet into that last stitch and then turn our work. And now we're going to move on to row 4. So for row 4, we're going to start off by chaining 1. We're then going to do 3 double crochets, 1, so in that very first stitch, 2 and 3, and this is where our pattern repeat starts. I'm going to chain 2, miss a space, double crochet, chain 2, miss a space, and then 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, and then repeat that again. So it's chain 2, miss a space, double crochet, chain 2, miss a space, 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3. You're going to work that all the way to the end. That will take you to your last stitch. So meet me back at the end of row 4. Okay, so at the end of row 4, we've worked into that last stitch. We're going to turn our work, and we can now fasten off colour 13. So I'm just going to chain 1, snip off the yarn and pull that out. We're now going to pull up colour 14, so this loop that we have. I'm going to pop it onto my hook, grab the working yarn, and then just pull that through, and then just make sure it's sitting nicely. You don't want to pull too tightly here because it will pucker the work. So now we're ready for row 5, and we're going to begin by chaining 1 and doing a double crochet into that very first stitch. So if you look at the last row, just to make sure that you've got your placement right, we should have 3 double crochets to begin with. So it's this first one that you should have done that first double crochet into. Once you've done that double crochet, we're then going to do 2 more because it's telling us to do 3 in total. So 3 double crochets, and then we have 1 treble 3 down. So we'll yarn over, ignore these chain 2s, and then go into that treble or into that stitch and work your treble. So that is the beginning of the pattern repeat. We then have a double crochet, a treble 3 down, and then 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3. So you're going to repeat that until you get to the end. So it starts off with this treble 3 down, so treble 3 down, double crochet, treble 3 down, 3 double crochets. Go ahead, work that all the way across, and then meet me back at the end of row 5. Okay, so at the end of row 5, we've worked all the way to the end of the row, and we're going to turn our work, chain 1, and for row 6 we're going to do 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way along. So nice and simple. Go ahead, pause the video, work those stitches, and then meet me back once you're ready. Okay, so that was a nice and simple row. We've come to the end and we're going to turn our work. And for row 7, we're actually going to work on the fan edging. So we're going to chain 2, which counts as a double crochet and a chain 1. And then we're going to do 1 double crochet into the second stitch. So this is the first stitch and this is the second stitch. So do 1 double crochet, and then we have a pattern repeat. So we're going to miss 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and then do a chain 1 and 1 treble into that next stitch. I'm going to do that 4 times. Chain 1 and treble into that same stitch. That's 2, chain 1, treble into that same stitch. That's 3, chain 1, treble into that stitch. That's 4. So that's created our fan. We're then going to chain 1, miss 2 stitches, and then double crochet into that next stitch. And then we're going to repeat that until we have 1 stitch remaining. So I'll just show you that again. We're going to miss 2 stitches, we're going to chain 1 and treble into that next stitch. And we'll do that 4 times. Chain 1, treble. That's 2, chain 1, treble. That's 3, and then chain 1, treble. That's 4, chain 1, miss 2 stitches, and then double crochet. And you're going to repeat that all the way along until you have 1 stitch remaining. So just so you can check if you're on the right track, you can see that the fan is over this section here, and then the double crochet is over this section just here. So work your way all the way across and then meet me back once you have 1 stitch remaining. Okay, so once you've come to the end, you are going to leave this last stitch unworked, and then we're going to take a stitch marker and place the stitch marker into that working loop like so. And then you can take your yarn. You will have less left than I have because I've done a smaller sample piece, but you want to ravel that up, take your clips. As I say, yours will be smaller so it'd be easier to clip, but you want to clip that to the work because we are going to come back to it at a later stage. So that is the end of day 14. Please don't forget to check the community tab on my channel for any of the instructions that don't need a video tutorial or to give advice on the next step. Please don't forget to tag myself, Crochet Society and Rosina in any photos because we would absolutely love to see your makes. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video.